I may have said this once or twice, but Black Canary is one of my favorite characters in DC Comics. And Laurel never really did it for me, although Sarah definitely is my favorite. This new girl they brought in last week, I'm willing to give her a chance. I'm just not sure yet. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing episodes 11 and 12 of Arrow, A New Beginning for the Black Canary. Now, the last 2 weeks I haven't been able to review because of some family commitments. However, because of a massive snow here, I'm going to be able to catch up on them and let you know what I think and what's been going on. In general, since the death of Laurel, they've kind of been in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because too many of the fans liked Laurel, and liked the actress that plays her. So, replacing her would be hard, but at the same time, not replacing her means no Black Canary, and that's also a problem. I think they thought that by giving the actress the Black Siren role, that would save them some of this trouble, but I don't think that's going to work. But let's talk about the episodes itself, so let's throw this up here. Once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. If you follow my Legends of Tomorrow videos, you'll know I have something called the Firestorm effect. And at this point, I'm starting to think it's going to be called the Firestorm Ragman effect, because boy, did they underplay exactly how badass it is that they have someone like Ragman on the team. And they do it constantly by leaving him behind or just giving a good reason why it is that he can't be in the episode. However, a close second to that is Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific is also being downplayed. He's an Olympic caliber athlete. He's one of the smartest people in the world. He invented those T-spheres that, yeah, they explode, but he also invented things like the sonic dampener that they used in last week's episode to catch the canary. Problem is that on Team Arrow, he's second fiddle, but let's be honest. Mr. Terrific deserves a show in and of himself based on how cool he is. Episode 11 also added in the fact that we now have Talia al Ghul, because he's Batman, who trained Green Arrow. And you know what they added to the, well, changed, retconned really? She's the one that came up with the I need to be someone else, something else. Now I know that they already introduced the character of Talia in Legends of Tomorrow, and to their credit they did introduce the idea that he trained with the Bratva even all the way back in Season 1 when we thought it was on the island the whole time. But now she also is the person who trained that guy who originally trained Ollie in the Hood to begin with. We'll see how that plays out as the episodes go on. Episode 11 was also the Big Diggle plot episode, the one where we find out exactly what's going on and we get him out of jail. And it's pretty cool. We use the district attorney to do it, and all in all, I'm not too upset with that plot line. I'm just curious where they're going to go with it. We also have the scenes between Wild Dog and Mr. Terrific, which again, seem to be really good. I'm really liking that particular team up. Not much happened in episode 11 about Prometheus. They talked about him, but he didn't show up. So on to episode 12. Episode 12 takes place almost entirely in Russia and is mostly about Russia. So I need to keep reminding myself, this is a comic book, stop being political, don't be political, don't be political. And we start off with Talia back in the flashback training Green Arrow. And it's kind of interesting the words she uses. He says, why are they here? They're just low-level drug dealers. No, they're target practice. Already showcasing why it is that when Oliver came home, he was such an easy killer. But then to my pleasant surprise, we move on to a subplot I missed. Quentin, one of my favorite characters on the show, and give him the fact that he's back from rehab. Now, just to be funny, we have to throw him and Wild Dog together because, I mean, that's a buddy cop movie waiting to happen. One of them used to be the head of the PD. The other one's a vigilante who wears a hockey mask. Now they work together to try to overcome alcoholism and anger issues. Dun dun dun. Alright. We get a little bit more of the whole Adrian Chase thing with him being in charge of getting Diggle out. But then for the most part, from there we move to Russia. And Team Arrow on the hunt for a nuclear explosive in the middle of a foreign country. What could possibly go wrong? I know I already covered the leaving Wild Dog behind, but I loved the fact that part of the reason Oliver gave him was, so you're not causing an international incident. Yeah, because he's the only one that would do that. Once we get to Russia, the real story begins, and with that we have the Bratva, and we have the fact that Anatoly is mad at Arrow, and all in all it's pretty good. But you know what? Arrow isn't really the star of any of this. You know who really is? The ladies. This is definitely a ladies' night, because our new Black Canary being a police officer instead of being a DA definitely showcases what it means to be an investigator when she figures out the cell phone trick. And Felicity takes a major level of badass when she decides to threaten a guy's family. I mean, ouch. The first time Team Arrow truly works together with this new team is rather interesting. None of them are in costume. They're all in blackish outfits. They have code names like Backstop, Recon, and of course Overwatch. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me when Young Justice used to go undercover and push the little button and their costumes would go dark, but they were still in their superhero outfits. This is just the live-action version of it, as Team Arrow goes undercover in Russia. Just as a little side point, since her sonic cry is so important, I find it interesting that they have Mr. Terrific trying to examine her sonic cry and trying to put the actual decibels to it. That thing is super powerful. In the comics, it can shatter steel and even take down Superman. But like I said, this episode really is showcasing our new Black Canary, and the fact that her and Ollie work together so well. When they go to do the Bratva mission for him, I'm just totally amazed that she's willing to cross that line again, walk right with him. It's kind of funny. I see more chemistry with him and her than I did with either of the sisters that played the Canary before. And speaking of crossing lines, that's one of the themes of tonight's episode. It's something that I think Ragman put best when he talked about the fact that the Rags have a power, and the fact that that power needs to be used for a purpose. We watch as Diggle loses his shit when it comes to torture, and don't get political, and Felicity with blackmail. Like I said, she threatened a guy's family. And you know what? More and more I keep thinking about who the Black Canary really is in this, and who Mr. Terrific really is in this. Because the Black Canary up till now has become that person who is kind of edgy and dark, and in the comics I kind of like that. But on Team Arrow, that's a hard sell, because Team Arrow is pretty dark and brooding in and of itself. So, what do you guys think? I'm kind of curious. How many of the characters do you think crossed lines tonight? One of those things that always bugs me on this show is the whole, oh, we can't kill. As I put up in the thumbnail, police officers have a rule. You kill when you need to defend your own life or when you need to defend others. And I can't, for the life of me, understand why people without powers don't follow that same rule. Yeah, you don't kill wantonly. Yeah, you don't want to be a mass murderer, and Arrow kind of pushes that envelope sometimes. But what is the difference between being a vigilante and being a superhero? I think this whole season has asked that question, and I think it's asked it well. In fact, I think that this might be one of the most good, in-depth looks at what the difference between a comic book and a realistic depiction of a hero could be. Comic book movies that are trying to do the same thing, please take notice of these writers. Now, before I praise this show too much, I want to just revisit my one problem. We have a character who tonight absorbed a nuclear blast, one that would have taken out 50 miles. He's caught bullets, he's blocked other lesser explosives, he's pretty much invulnerable, doesn't need to sleep, doesn't need to eat, and can throw bad guys around like nothing. But at the same time, when we go after Prometheus, we don't want him there. We want to hold him back for some... Yeah, see, this is the Firestorm effect. See, the Firestorm effect is all about creating a character or bringing a character in that's too powerful for your story, and then needing to find ways to get rid of him. And the way they get rid of Ragman tonight, well, last night, was by having him absorb a nuclear blast. Now let's talk about comic book Ragman for a second and how his powers work. He absorbs souls of criminals, and then gives those souls the ability to get redemption by slowly leeching off their power to give him his own enhanced abilities. If they go with that in this, then maybe he just burned out all the souls in the Rags, in which case he can come back. In which case, I promise you, if they do that, I will definitely call Firestorm effect if they don't showcase him to be the badass of the badasses. However, when this season began, I asked a question in my opening sequence. Did they fail this show? And by they, I meant the writers. And as of right now, I have an answer. No, they didn't. This show totally rocks. But I'm going to wait till the season finale to be sure. For now, we've reached the part of the video where I need to ask you to like, subscribe, and share this video to help me build the community so that we can talk more about Arrow, the Berlantiverse, superheroes, time travel, and who knows what else as we take a walk through the heart of the stories we tell. Maybe when this is all over, I should do Why We Tell Superhero Stories. Have a good night, and thanks for watching.